Hello, everybody there in Facebook land. Friends and family and parasocial friends. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm kind of doing a weird way of posting on Facebook, usually with significant events. Sorry, I'm a little tongue twisted here. I've been talking all day doing my podcast. But I felt it was a need instead of just doing a written post to talk. Because I feel like, when we're on Facebook, it's always written word. We don't really have a chance to actually see each other face to face and movement and with verbal communication. So, yeah, it's a weird approach, but I'm a weirdo, so bear with me. So, why am I doing this? Well, today's the Super Bowl. And it also is the anniversary. Don't really want to call it anniversary, but it's a mark of this day marks something that was tragic. So, I don't know where to begin, but so let's go with the Super Bowl first. Super Bowl has always been a very special thing for me and my wife because every year when my mom was alive, she would throw a party and all these friends and family would come together. And I'd really never watch it. I'd just hang out, talk to people. My Uncle Garland and I would go out in the backyard and, do what we do. Do some inhaling. And sometimes balloons were involved. So, put that together how you will. But those days are long gone. The last Super Bowl party that we had was in 2015. And, Rebecca and I don't do it because, it's just us. And, I'm not the biggest football fan. I'm kind of a jaded Raider fan, so I really haven't been paying attention to football since 2003. But, whatever. So, that's, Super Bowl is always very emotional for me. But what makes this extremely emotional, and to kind of give a backstory, I woke up this morning. My computer's making noise, sorry. I woke up this morning, and I slept downstairs, and took a shower right away. And so I get in the shower, do my thing, and I come out, and my wife's laying in bed, and I noticed she was bawling her eyes out. And so I went into bed with her, and I started bawling my eyes out as well. And the reason why we were crying so much was because this is 2 years ago, our dog Stuart unfortunately passed away. And that played such a horrible role for the remainder of that year. We had Susie, and then she had her problems. I'm not going to go into that. But, yeah, it's, very emotional day for us. Rebecca's been sleeping a lot, which I'm not concerned about because sometimes she doesn't get enough sleep. So anytime she's sleeping, I don't wake her up. She might wake up right now wondering what the heck I'm doing because I didn't tell her that I'm doing this. But anywho, it's just to go back to the importance of, not necessarily face-to-face interaction, but, some people might not know how I sound. And I'm sure a decent amount of I'm doing a podcast right now. I started it in January. And, it's anybody that's ever done a podcast knows it's trial and tribulation. It's, you just got to keep doing it. You're going to suck at first, and then hopefully you get better. And so yesterday I did a podcast. It's not going to be released yet. I don't think it's going to be released until Sunday. But it was about one of my favorite authors. I consider him a philosopher, a person that you probably see. I put memes of quotes of him. It was a guy by the name of Robert Anton Wilson. So I did a whole episode on that. I've done including that, I've done 4 podcasts so far, and the first 3 podcasts are 15 minutes. And when I was doing it last night, I looked down, and it was like 33 minutes. I went, oh my God. So that shows you how important of a person Robert Anton Wilson was. So, if you're interested in that, shameless plug, will be coming out on Thursday. You want to check it out. it is by far the best podcast I've done. These have been hard. It's hard to talk for a consistent amount of time, but when you get used to it, you get used to it. So, but really, this isn't about me per se. This is just about my, gratitude towards my friends on Facebook, really. There's a lot of friends I haven't even met. There's a friend that lives across the country. I won't name him, but I will say he's a big fan of pizza and I believe Twin Peaks and Bigfoot. So, and he's shared my podcast quite a bit. So, brother, thank you for that. And yeah, I mean, when you meet people on Facebook, it's, kind of a weird situation because sometimes you're going to meet assholes. Actually, I'd say most of the time, actually. But there are good people. And if you're my friend, that means two things. Either I like you or you don't bother me enough for me to unfriend you. So, whatever. But, yeah, I just, and I have actual family that's on Facebook, and we try to keep in touch. The closest family I have lives close to 1,000 miles away, so, but, I love every single one of you, and hopefully we'll see each other again. Actually, I think my brother will be coming up here in April, so I'm looking very forward to that. I haven't seen him for 10 years. Yeah, but yeah, it's just such emotion, and, when I do this podcast, I'm talking about the paranormal, and I don't care if you don't believe in the spiritual realm or the paranormal. I do. I really, if you saw my post back in November, I mentioned something about my mom actually saving my life. And I won't get into the details about that, but what was going on when I saw my mom? I was actually working on my podcast for the first time. Going through all the, because I'm a very technologically savvy person, so it's just taking a lot of adjustment. So I found that very interesting, and it was a beautiful experience. And then yesterday, when I was doing this podcast, number 4, actually for 2 days before that, and including yesterday, I kept seeing the number 1111 everywhere. And I know people are going to say, oh, everybody sees that. But I was seeing it at a very profound level. I didn't know what to think. And then I'm doing my podcast, and, I'm not going to lie, I'm seeing little glimmers of something crawling around my ground on the floor. And I don't know what it is. I thought maybe something got in the house. But when I look, nothing. And it just kept popping up. And I'm telling you, it looked like my dog, Stuart. So, believe what you want, but I really do think that my dog visited me yesterday, giving me encouragement, because, these last 2 years have just been very hard. It's not just me, it's my wife. I'm trying to help her the best I can, but how can you help somebody when you can't even help yourself? But by the end of 2023, stuff started changing. I started praying more. I used to pray all the time. I started praying more, and all of a sudden, guess what? Stuff started happening, positive stuff. So, this isn't about prayer, but I'm going to throw it out there. But the significance of 1111 and the episode that I just did, which is episode 4 for my podcast, well, 1111. 1 plus 1. Let me make sure I'm getting this right. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 4. And what makes that very significant for me is the fact that when my dogs were alive, and it was me and my wife, I would always gravitate towards the number 4. For example, if I kissed my dog's head, which I did a lot, I would do it 4 times. If I grabbed my wife's hand or kissed her head, or kissed her lips, I would do it 4 times. And it took Rebecca a long time to figure out, why are you doing everything 4 times? And I told her, I said, it's a significant number for me because we're a family of 4. And so to get into this podcast that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I'm not a very confident person. This has been, I wouldn't say hard for me, but it just, I have so many doubts and I overanalyze, but things are getting better. And yeah, it's just, I don't know, maybe it seemed like I'm wasting my time doing this, but I just want to make sure that people understand that, if you're going through a tough time, we're living in hard times right now. There's a lot of hardship and people that can't pay their bills, and they're having legal trouble. We're living in hard times. In Hindu scripture, sorry, getting tongue tied again. They talk about Kali Yuga, and I very much believe that we are living in the times of Kali Yuga. And I'm not going to get into that, but look it up and you'll understand. So, everybody out there that's going through hard times, that's going through grief, anxiety, depression, just know, hang in there. Pray. Do something creative. That's the thing with this podcast that I'm doing. I'm actually getting back into doing something creative, and all of a sudden it's like I feel my vibration raising because I had such low. I'm so sorry, folks. I had COVID, and I still am having a little bit of brain fog, so bear with me. I'm sorry. But I had low vibration for, 2022, 2023, and in the late 2023, once I started doing this podcast, slowly but surely that vibration started coming up. So creativity is very important. I believe praying is very important. Doesn't matter who you pray to. You could pray to the moon. You could pray to God. Pray to Joe Biden. I don't care. Or Trump. I don't care. Life is absurd. So quit taking it so goddamn seriously. And let's start loving each other. Let's start becoming a community again. And I'm not trying to go on a rant here, but yeah, I guess I did. So one more point I want to make before I end this is with these parasocial relationships that we have on Facebook. I mentioned my friend that lives across the country. I actually had a friend who lived in England. We never met. We met online. And the reason why we became friends was because we had two things in common. We loved wrestling and we loved cartoons. And we just kept in touch. We started talking in 2016. He's a year older than me. He has a daughter. He has a son. He has a beautiful family. I'm still friends with his family on Facebook right now. And I believe it was in October of 2022, I found out that he passed away. And this man was creative. He was funny. And he told me probably 8 months before he passed away, he said, "Hey, mate, one of these days we're going to meet." And then once he passed away, I went, my God, at least on this existence, we're not going to meet. But hopefully one day, once I cross that barrier, we can meet, and I'll give him the biggest hug possible, and then I'll pile drive him. And that's the bottom line. So, if you stuck with me this long, I guess this is kind of a weird podcast that I've done, but I'm only doing it on Facebook. But shameless plug, check out Creepy and Weird. We're getting better. My friend Brian is wonderful at video editing, and I guess that's all I gotta say about that. Peace, love, and namaste. Take care.